So I'll start with a pickle that is large, and I'm taking away most of the skin. If it's a younger pickle, you can keep the skin on. Everyone can do, if you have a jar this size, you can even do it with a jar this size, these little honey jars. Most people have something like that at home. Make sure that the lid has a little bit of wax in it, because it's very important that there isn't any air going in there, because the whole idea of ferment is that the bacteria is in everything, but as soon as you mix it together with salt and perhaps some old pickle juice, you're going to deprive them of oxygen, and in this place without oxygen they can develop. So now we'll cut this, and because this is a fairly, if it were a really yellow one, a very old yellow one, we would take away the seeds. This one is just young enough. You can see that the seeds are not hard. When the seeds develop a hard shell, they're getting ready to be planted again. So I'll measure here. I want them this size, so I can just cut them in half. For my pickling, I'm using a Swedish book that is written by a German woman who came here many years ago, and she took with her the method that they used in Germany to make what's called sauerkraut. And her suggestion is that if you're going to make a big pot of them, you would have whey, 1/4 liter to every 10 liters of, for a 10-liter pot, and then you would need 25 grams of salt per kilo of vegetables. If you're going to make the older ones, which I'm doing here in a glass, you can use the juice from the old pickles from last year or even earlier, and 25 to 30 grams salt per kilo, and then you could also add some water if you need to at the end. So here is my salt, and it's sea salt that we've pounded up with a mortar and pestle. But you don't have to do that. You can also just buy it already made. And I know that this is the right amount, but you can measure. Most important thing is that there's enough salt in there. And then we're also taking some whey, and this is from last year's pickles. So that, maybe a little more. So, and then we'll put the cucumbers in. And you can arrange them so that, really pack them in there so there isn't much room between them. Now this was just one big cucumber, and as you see, the jar is already getting full. So I'll just have one more on the top, and perhaps a little one here on the side. So, there. And then, in order to use these other things, we'll have to take out a little, actually. We'll take out. So I can show you the kind of things you can put in there to make it very nice. You can put anything really, but I have nasturtiums that I have growing all around the house, and I think it's very pretty. If you're going to give this as a gift, you can have a nasturtium facing outward. So on the farm we have raspberries growing, and raspberry leaves are very nice because they have the fermented bacteria on them already. In Swedish we say mjölksyrad bacteria. But you can And then another thing that has a lot of lactic acid bacteria is this this is called groblad in Swedish. It's a version of dock or plantian, plantilago, and it's a very healing thing for mosquito bites and nettle stings. And I want to have it in the winter, so I'm making sure I have some by putting it in here. You can eat it, of course. And for flavor, nothing beats dill. In New York, my original hometown, dill pickles were one of the most popular things. And so I'm going to put a lot of that in there. Get a lot of dill. And it's so simple. Then you just have to add water. You can do it if you have one of these standing in your kitchen. You're going to have it standing for a while, maybe 2 weeks, and then put it in the refrigerator. You can read about these things on the net. I'm going to go like this so that the salt gets evenly distributed and the whey. And that's it.